Let's get into our first review. So, our first review of the day is Reservation Dogs. Reservation Dogs is the show co-created by Taika Waititi and Sterlin Harjo. It is a story about four indigenous teenagers in rural Oklahoma. You see kind of their life and times in rural Oklahoma due to the death of their friend named Daniel, who happened before the events of the series beginning. They decide they want to they want to save enough money to move to California. This is the first season is 8 episodes. These are kind of also very good bingeable. They're 30-minute episodes. There is a season 2 that is going to be in August 3rd. That's going to be coming out this year. And I heard a lot of great things about this show, Reservation Dogs. About kind of the, great praise and great kind of writing of it, great performances of it. Obviously, it's got the intention of it on it because Taika Waititi co-created it. Taika Waititi, who you see now, he's blowing up, does the Marvel movies, Thor Love and Thunder, Thor Ragnarok, also did movies like Hunt for the Wilder People, What We Do in the Shadows. So he's kind of blowing up right now. That's another reason part why the show kind of has gotten a lot of attention as well. But as far as I can see, I don't know how much direct involvement he has with this show. He did co-write the first episode of this show with Sterlin Harjo, who's the other co-creator. That's pretty much about it I see for the most part of him writing and directing. Hey, thank you for the follow there, Ganja. Thank you, man.
No problem.
Thank you. So that's kind of, I don't know how much direct involvement he has. Mostly, I think it's just Sterlin Harjo who does a lot of probably the day-to-day stuff. Watching this show, which you can see, I saw it on Hulu. It's on FX. I was very much impressed by it. I think each episode almost feels like a little kind of short film in a way. And I think the last 3 episodes of season 1 are really also very, very spectacular. I brought Ganja in here. He's a indigenous man himself. And one of the great things about this series is that it's
allegedly born and raised.
Very nice. And one of the great things about this series is that it is, directed, showrun, written by all the performances are done by indigenous people. You will see kind of other different ethnicities in the show. Like you do have like cameos from comedians like Bobby Lee, Bill Burr, Garrett Hedlund, from people might know from Tron Legacy. He shows up in here for one episode, so you'll get kind of some other different races of people. But mostly, it's a show that it stars and it's all the behind the scenes people are indigenous people. So, I'm gonna give it to Ganja there, and also Ganja, introduce yourself to the people, what you're all about. Where people can find you, pimp your stuff, all that good stuff before you.
Well, guys, my name is Ganja Guru. I do the Chat Tech, like I mentioned earlier. It's like a little review show that's based off original fan base podcast that's kind of grown and morphed into its own thing now. We follow Double Toasted. We're basically their pre-show. Get the audience nice and hyped before they go and enjoy some of their Double Toasted goodness. And then I do the Lamati podcast. So that's more of a political podcast and current events. So go check that out. That's on Twitch as well. And of course, if you just want to follow me on Twitter, go follow me, Red Ganja Guru. I tend to post most of my political thoughts there and keep you updated with all the stuff that I'm doing in terms of activism and movie review as well. So go check that out.
Nice. And what is your opinion on this show?
Honestly, when I first heard this show coming out, I was very conflicted because I thought that I was going to be more of a Hollywood embrace of my people's culture. And this is a little bit of a blend of my people's culture for people that don't know. The Seminole tribe was broken up into 2 different nations during the Seminole Wars down in Florida. So you have the Seminoles of Oklahoma, which were basically the elders, the young people, and the people that wanted to continue raising their families that left Florida to go and live on the reservations out there, and they went to Oklahoma. And then you have the ones that stayed in Florida, which is the family that I'm part of, and the tribe nation that I'm part of, that stayed and fought pretty much the U.S. government in 3 consecutive wars at the time, and essentially fought for their right to stay in Florida, which is which is honestly our people's our homeland. So it's a separation of cultures, as well as get to see myself be able to embrace another culture that we are so similar that once you just drop us in Oklahoma, there's no difference between a Florida Seminole and Oklahoma Seminole. So to see like aspects of my culture being entwined to the show and being used as either set pieces or even if for a comedic effect, like what they do with the whole owl sequence, because in Creek culture, owls are seen as demons and they're seen as evil creatures that watch over the night. So it's kind of like a mixture of evil or ambivalent creatures that you're just supposed to respect them so much for what they do that you're not supposed to look them in the eye, you're not supposed to mess with them. That's to see that used as a joke in the show, and in the way that they blurred the actual eyes out like a pixelation, like there was done some nudity. I thought that was very fun. I thought that was very tasteful, and it's something that you really don't get to see a lot because not Native American culture isn't really explored in all of its different variations. Because you got like a different ethnicities working on the show. It's not just Seminole, Oklahoma. You got Choctaw. You got people from different other nations around the area as well. So to see this come together, it's pretty amazing. Honestly, to give you the best example of what it's done for my people culturally is this is the closest we're going to get to our version of Black Panther, honestly, in terms of representation in a mass media form.
I felt a lot of Atlanta in this because even though it was um, like doing this thing, it would sometimes, and then it's interesting because sometimes it showed me because I binged this shit today, and it showed me how much y'all are into the spirits and into always thinking back into the past and things like that. Did you have any problem because they was all like because they were all from like Canada, all the kids.
No, I have no problem with it because the
Mm,
thing with a lot of the different native cultures is it's very similar to the African American diaspora, where you guys have a lot of different cultures that signifiers that you guys share, but there's
mm,
different variations on it and the different regions that you guys tend to live. Like the
mm,
dialect in the East Coast is way different than the Southern Black dialect, and that's
mm,
similar to what you see in the show. And to see these different Native Americans really embrace an Oklahoma traditions, Oklahoma sayings, and Oklahoma slang. Uh,
mm.
for me, I never thought that I would hear Hela, which is a an indigenous term, especially used by Seminole people, to be like, ah, fuck that, nah, hell nah. It's just a fucking slang word that we use. Like, so if you hear something like that's either like crazy or you don't believe it,
Mm.
you just go, man, Hela, and that'll be your reaction to it. And to see them use it in the show is fucking great. The Dirty Fry Bread music video,
Oh my god,
Mm.
I
bro,
like
that
them.
when he's talking about the aunties in the kitchen sweating up a storm trying to get that prize at the Res Festival, that shit's real. You don't understand? They take their fried bread serious. That's like older Southern black women with their catfish and shit. You know?
The four characters for me, I felt like little the chick, the more butchy chick. I felt like she was the more tradish, as they said in the show. What you think?
Well, that's usually how it is. The thing in our culture is we don't view femininity and masculinity in the same that a lot of Western European people do.
Mm-hmm.
And to see her be the very strong, stoic native woman that's still like not afraid to joke around, clown around, and be tough is exactly what I grew up with in terms of like different women archetype that are known to grow up on the res. Matter of fact, it's affected my own dating history as well, to where I have a problem not being able to, be romantically involved or attracted to women don't have a natural strength to them, and not being
Mm-hmm.
able to stand up for themselves or be able to, you know, either defend themselves or be able to stand up to somebody that needs to be stand up to on their own terms. And that's because I grew up with women that were like this on the reservation that didn't really put up no shit and ran just as hard as the boys did. And I'm glad they're showing that in the show as well.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you're
they
talking
did
about the
it.
character Willie Jack. Is that you talking about? Or what are you talking
Willie Jack.
about? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
But you
and it
also
was.
see it with what the main girl character, which I'm having a hard time remember her name right now,
Alora.
but Alora, she also shows that where it's a strong kind of maternal
Mhm.
instinct kind of thing that they have, and that's something that you grow up with Native women on the reservation.
I was just talking to Jay about that, and that's actually she's the oldest one out of all four of them. She's like 28, and the
Yeah.
rest of them are like 20, 17, and stuff like Cheese is like the youngest, and then the other girls like I think 20 or something like that. So I had seen that too. But like you said with the women also, because it was even like it's crazy how well one it's like the way that y'all treat y'all elders and everything, especially throughout the show, even from women and things like that. Like it's like even the women they have like these kind of like stern conversations and these real conversations that don't need to take like a long time. It's just kind of to the point. Like even with the oldest, like you said, with the girl you just mentioned, her and the mom, when they were they had just this quick exchange and it's like, yeah, we're we're Indian women, indigenous women and stuff like that, and we move like this, and this how it's gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that is something to your point about like how the women like take their self in their culture and shit. So yeah, it was a dope show. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked the show, man. I binged it. I liked it. It was
Um,
weird.
so you have the four kids. So you have Laura, who's played by Devery Jacobs. You have Dee Fahara, who's Bear. You have Lane Factor, who's Cheese, and you have Paulina Alexis, who is Willie Jack. And those are the four main characters that you see there in the show. Um, and then also throughout the show, you also have like famous indigenous actors who come through. You know, sometimes it's like cameos, like Gary Farmer, who you'll see, Jana Schmichting, who you also see, Sarah Podolsky, who's Bear's mom in it, who I thought was very good. Zane McClarklin, who you've seen. He was in like Doctor Sleep. He seems like the go-to new indigenous actor guy, I guess now, because I've seen him in tons of stuff. He usually pops up. He's the police officer in the show, who does a very good job. You also have like Little Mike and Funny Bone, who are the two little people rappers that you see
Yeah,
in the show. They pop up throughout the show, who I think they're very funny. They're very entertaining throughout the show.
it
They
was
kind of
hard too. I need that tape.
that tape.
The tape.
Uh
Yeah, I
oh.
need that tape. They drop it for real.
Uh,
Need that.
You have Dallas Goldsmith, who's Spirit. In the show Bear, like he sees visions of like this ancestor of his in the show, who
Yeah.
comes in the form of a character name called William Spirit Knife Man. Supposedly a guy who died
By
at
the way,
yeah.
I do want to explain that a little bit. Especially just continue what you're gonna say. It's a spirit that died in battle, but he died in one of the most embarrassing ways ever. Like he was charging towards Custer's army, and his
Mm.
horse ended up putting his foot in a gopher hole, and ended up rolling over him and crushing the dude.
Yeah.
So that's how he ended up into the spirit world. But it's a play on a lot of jokes that happen on like Native American reservations that you don't really get to see a lot of. And one of the biggest things a lot of people like to clown is, oh, my ancestor was a great warrior, a great war chief. I descend from like great tribal leaders that accomplished much and shit. When half the time, like you're descended from the guy that probably died of dysentery because he drank the wrong lake water at one point in time. And that's most like who your forefathers are. And I like to see that play on it where he's still kind of a noble dude and he's a guide for Bear, but you get the vibe from the interactions with Bear. It's like, yeah, he was a kind of a fuck up during his time on Earth.
Mm.
Yeah, and then they use it smaller too because they use it with Shorty Uncle. Like man, he knocked out 20 motherfuckers. I mean, he did, but he
Mm-hmm.
didn't do it. He didn't do it in the way like he was a menace. So that I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah. Uh,
his mama just needed a man.
uh,
Mama.
and I wanted to kind of get your opinion, guys. So, like with this show, like you said, another people thing that people remarked about this show is that how it just explores all these different sides of indigenous people. What do you think has been the main image of kind of indigenous people in Western media and in just pop culture in general?
I mean, honestly, in terms of pop culture, we haven't been very existent in the last 20 years. Maybe with the rise of Reservation Dog and maybe social media and YouTube, if you actually go look for native produced and owned content, you'll find it out there. But in terms of being pushed on a major TV network like Reservation Dogs is, this is like the very first time that it's happening in terms of really representing the culture because anything in Hollywood past that is them trying their best while still leaning into a lot of the Western aesthetics that they like so much, like the dancing
Predator.
around fire, the tribal people that are doing like ancient mystical medicine, pretty much all the bullshit you guys remember from growing up watching Pocahontas.
Mm.
That didn't change much in a lot of Hollywood, or if they did portray us, they portrayed us as drunks. They portrayed us as people that are truly suffering, and then we need some help from. Most of the time, it's a nice white working service worker that comes to the reservation to help out. And then
Mm.
I think the last time we really had a big movie for the culture that tried to explain Indian problems or try to explore that culture of indigenous people, trying to basically exist in a country that was taken from them and we are really strangers in our own land at this point. It's probably Smoke Signals, and that came out in the 80s.
Mm.
So that's how long it's been since we had a real depiction of Native Americans and how we live. That's not just lean into hardcore stereotypes. And that's one thing that I really liked in this show was as much as they did the spirituality stuff, as much as they did the embracing of the ancestors and respect of the elders, there is still like a juvenile play there that is realistic and is what you experience on the reservation. For example, like Cheese and its respect for the elderly lady that's at the clinic trying to get medical attention and stuff and just needs someone to talk to. A lot of young kids on the res, if they are raised the traditional way, they will hang out the elder like that and take care of the elder. But at the same token, you also have some youngins that'll be selling like stolen goods out front of the clinic and lie to the police officer when he came and says, "Where y'all got that stuff?" So there is like it's a balance, and that's one thing that I also like that they talked about with the tribal cop. That's something that a lot of people don't understand because when they think of tribal police, they think of them corrupt or lazy or that they don't want to enforce the law. But a lot of people forget that when you become a tribal cop and you really come from the community, you're essentially being asked to either ticket, arrest, or just depending on how far your police department wants you to go, harass people that you grew up with, your cousins, your second cousins, your auntie's kids, your uncle's kids. And I like that as a police officer, as a trial police officer, he made the differentiation to the young kid. She's like, hey, they're still good people. At the day, they're good people. That's why I'm not arresting them. They may do dumb shit, and I gotta stop them. Which is most of the crimes on the reservation is people doing dumb shit, like the gentleman that borrowed the lawnmower but said he was gonna give it back. That's most of the crime that you see on reservations. So it's just juvenile dumb shit that honestly you just need a kind heart and understanding if you really just want to help the community. And I'm glad to see that out of a tribal policeman, and I'm showing the difference between a tribal cop and honestly what a regular cop treats Native people when they had that interaction. The white officers treated him as the tribal cop less than them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And he was very super traditional with his ways, and I liked how all episodes were like. Well, so when they got past like three, I think it does a little bit different. I know I called it like Atlanta a little bit, but it does have like vignette episodes. Where it has like an episode where it's about this one character, and that episode about this one character, and
Mm.
the is even episode with the cop. And I like how they do that. Then they wrap it all around because then at the end of the day, at the end of the season, it's all about Danny.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, like the last few episodes of the show, I said at the beginning, are very good. And like Chill was mentioned, they do kind of these episodes where each character kind of gets their own moment. Like Cheese, he hangs out with the tribal cop, and they have kind of like their own episode and showing him the day to day life of that stuff. You have the stuff with Laura's character, who I think like that might be my favorite episode. Her episode where she's doing her driving test with Bill Burr, who's her driving instructor. That may be my favorite episode of the first season. That was I thought really great. Just the kind of the emotional depth of that episode and the writing of the episode, and Bill Burr's got a real great talent for dramatic acting. I think he's got a real good skill for that.
Honestly, that was the strongest I've ever seen Bill Burr perform in terms of like a dramatic role, and the way he sold it. He sold the interaction with the main character, and I believe that there was a strong relationship there without them having to talk about it. And honestly, I think this is some of Bill Burr's greatest work. If you're just a fan of Bill Burr, this is also a great series to sit through just for that payoff with his character.
Oh
I
yeah.
think this made me a little bit more of a fan of Taika, and to just check out more of his stuff. Even when Jay was just mentioning it, I definitely want to go back now
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
because I got introduced him in the Thor movie, so I guess it's a bad introduction. But seeing this, I was like, man, I gotta go back and see folks other shit.
yeah, he does a lot of great work. Yeah, his show "What We Do in the Shadows," that's based on his movie. Again, I don't know how much involvement he has with the show, but I just also was binging "What We Do in the Shadows," the show, and I saw the movie. The show's also very good as well. I think the show's also very funny too. Yeah, I thought that was a great episode with the Laura and Bill Burr. Also, another great episode, Willie Jack, where she's with her father, where they're hunting and they're remembering, her
That's my
cousin
favorite. Yeah.
Daniel who passed away before the start of the series. I thought that was another amazing episode. I thought her dad was very great in that episode, and I thought she was very great in that episode as well.
hmm
Ganja, what were some of your favorite episodes?
Honestly, one of my favorite episodes, hands down, because it's really was like a day in the life on the reservation. Was the episode where they go to see Willie Jack's uncle? I think it's either his uncle or their like second cousin uncle or extended family. It's somewhere down the family line or branch.
The guy that knocked out 20 guys in the
Yeah,
bar.
the guy that knocked out 20 guys, so they're going to learn basically how to fight for him. And the stories that you hear on the res just keep getting more exaggerated. And when they begin interacting with Uncle, he's kind of like a crazy old hippie dude. And one of the things that I really like about this, and this is something that you don't see a lot outside of honestly traditional
Oh,
like tribal media or people that are actually part of reservation culture, is honestly our love for fucking cannabis. Like tribal people love the fucking weed, dog. That's been one of our replacement substance for the last 30, 40 years since the dawn of the hippie movement. And we started hanging out with the Chicanos and they taught us how to roll up. And ever since then, cannabis has really become one of those drugs that is frequently partaked on the reservation. Matter of fact, I remember growing up smelling weed before I smelled tobacco sometimes in certain areas. So it's really nice to see that the kids were like one, not really shocked at Unc smoking weed, just more of the fact that he was looking for his ancient bud that he remembers hanging out at the fucking powwows and shit with his old buddies hanging out smoking, and he just wants to relive that nostalgia. So I like that episode is like a respect of the old, but it's also about showing the old, hey man, elder, we got some new shit we got to show you. It's, even if it's just down to like, hey, weed has gotten a lot stronger these days than what you used to, and you go take them to a Native American dispensary and smoke them out, or like what the kids end up doing at the end of the episode, helping him come to terms with all his old past stuff by hanging out with the young people and getting back into life and being active in the community through them. He realizes he had to change as a person. If he's not gonna be able to continue down this path where he can keep being with these kids and being a guide for these kids.
Hmm. Yeah.
and hopefully next season he get a louder pack because that job wasn't going nowhere.
That jar was more about nostalgia weed than actual like getting high. That shit lost its crystals back in '75.
You might still smoke a little bit, baby.
I mean, yeah, you smoke it, but it's like just taste and like, man. So this is back when they used to have Bush on the pussy, right?
Yeah, I thought that was a great episode, especially like when they first meet him and then him and Willie Jack like spit at each other. I thought that was very funny. You know what I mean? When they like kind of like are trying to what curse each other or just, uh, like
It's
that's
both. It's warding off and cursing the other person that cursed you back. So
yeah.
it literally is like the indigenous version of who's on first.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I thought that was really good. I think there's a lot of great moments, and they say that works. Like I think they're able to kind of balance those things. And I've been looking at some other reviews of people talking about it online just to see like and they said there's tons of these indigenous references in the show for people that are from that background as well, and also also has modern Western pop culture things in there too. Obviously, the name of the show, Reservation Dogs, obviously from Quentin Tarantino's movie Reservoir Dogs, and you'll see some also references to Quentin Tarantino movies, throughout the show as well. Chill, what were some of your favorite episodes or moments from this season?
Man, I'm glad Gandra brought it up because I left that episode for him, the uncle episode. Um, and even though the last episode, it's a lot of these episodes was really good, man. The episode with his mom, what I'm saying, with her just going out to the bar and shit and just meeting this white man. Every episode that they say, "Hey, white Jesus." Uh, this was just a good show, man. Like I said, I binged it today. Um, like how it's shot. I like the pacing of it. I feel like none of the episodes really dried up for me, and it was just cool just to see this shit, to see like that manifest because I'm learning at the same time. And so it was cool that Ganja came in here and talked about the owl because that was definitely one of the things that I was looking at, and one of the things I was also looking at is just the characters themselves. And like I said, I did like the other girl, the one that I can't even remember the name, the one that hung out with her father and doing hunting.
Oh,
Like I
Willie
just
Jack.
liked the whole Willie Jack. Okay, I just liked the whole character. Like not because she was tough, well, it's just because like how she delivered a lot of her lines and stuff like that. And I think she felt like when even when they laughed at Bev when it was like leader, you know what I'm saying? I feel like she was like more the leader of the group, you know. So I don't know. I really liked her character like a whole lot more than probably any next to Cheese. Cheese was cool, but Cheese wasn't in a lot of episodes too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the rival gang that they go up against. They have like another kind of, evil gang
By
kind
the
of.
way,
Yeah.
that's real. That's real shit that happens on the reservation.
Easily.
This so I don't like to explain the culture a little bit to y'all. So, uh, we've always had somewhat of like a gang culture, and it's mostly because it's tribal people. We're used to clicking up with our families or cousins and people that we consider blood, and that's just because as tribal people, we're just naturally inclined to do that. But sometimes it led to stupid shit. Like I was part of a little reservation gang called the Top Shoddy Boys. We didn't
Okay.
do anything. We didn't run no drugs. We weren't stealing nothing. We just smoked weed at the fucking field and thought we could claim territory because we hung out there long enough. And that's essentially what these gangs are. They're just things for these kids to do because on the reservation, especially if you're unfortunate enough to like be on like an Oklahoma reservation, and this is not a knock to the people that live out there. I'm pretty sure it's God's charms and you got much love for your place that anyone else does. But even they admit, like, man, there's not much around to do. Like, unless you working at the stores, working in the fields, or you got something popping off in whichever little town or city area you're located in. Most of it's just all cow pastures, abandoned field towns and shit that they used to have like plantation workers on from the 20s and 30s. That's closed down. So a lot of these areas are just abandoned warehouses that these kids just hang out with, chill, and honestly, unfortunately enough, they start drinking and smoking because there's nothing else to do. And I think that was one thing that they touched on was as much as there's love for the neighborhood and much love for your reservation and the people you come from, I thought them touch on the fact that it really is kind of a death sentence in being stuck
Mm.
here because there's no progression after that.
Mm.
If you don't like what you live in, that this is it. This is the bottom line. That's why when they touch on the character suicide and how he's a factor in all their decisions of if they go to Los Angeles or not, really it really is a lot of problems that the kids on reservation deal with, especially when it comes to suicide.
Mm.
And family too, because
Uh-huh.
you just see like towards as like I said, that's why I say the pacing is real good in the show, because you see like as towards getting the end, not only do they do these little vignettes, but they do these little vignettes, and these come to a conclusion. You know what I'm saying? Like it comes to a conclusion and a decision that they have to make in the end. I like that.
Mm. Yeah.
That was
Um.
dope.
Yeah. Any issues?
One of my favorite conversations before you go into what you were about to say, Josh. I'm sorry
Okay.
for interrupting. It's just one of the things that I really liked about it was they even have a conversation about land back in one of the episodes where it literally starts off with these like nice white older couple driving by a sign that was graffiti by the local res kids that says land back, and you can tell these are kind of like maybe progressive white middle class white people,
Mm.
and he's like, I know we took the land from them and all, and it's kind of fucked up, but do they really want it all back? I can imagine giving some of it back. Some of it sounds reasonable, but they really want it all back. And as ignorant as that sounds, but like, how many times have you guys talked about in your own culture for reparations, and they take it to the most extreme idea? It's the same thing. Most of the time, land back just means, hey, letting us control our little reservation territory and just stay the fuck out. That's literally most of the time what it means. We're not trying to grow our land. We're not trying to claim the whole state of Georgia because of treaty rights from 1842 or some shit. It really is just about a culture trying to reclaim its independence and be able to try to preserve itself into the future going on in this multipolar country that we're existing.
Well, we
And to see
see
that debated was pretty cool.
what happened when reparations happened in Atlanta. They were suing motherfuckers.
That shit was great, by the way. I love that fucking episode.
Yeah, that was a great episode. Oh my god, that dude was chasing him when he was driving and he just ran him down. Oh my god, that was a good episode. Um, yeah. I get what you're saying. Kind of has those kind of Atlanta type vibes to it. I mean, FX, they're very good. They're making some really great television over at FX. I love a lot of their shows. Justified, which is coming back by the way. Legion, which was the X-Men show that they had, I thought was very good. They also do Fargo. So Atlanta. Yeah, they do a lot of great stuff over at FX. Very much appreciated. Any issues you all have with the show?
I think the biggest issue I have for the show is as much as like I like Taika Waititi's work, and I like that he's able to make this show be a possibility. There are times where I could tell he starts either directing the episodes or start having influence in his creative process, and it's usually when it starts to go fantasy for a little bit, or it starts to lean a little too much in the indigenous aesthetics and culture for kind of no reason at all. Like the scene where Bear finally meets his Indian spirit, that felt like a scene probably shot by Taika Waititi. Just the way it's like made mystical and this aura around it. It's very like Thor: Love and Thunder, the way they like to do their comedy build up. So besides like certain aspects where I could tell that he kind of took over the creative process to do his little touch on it, I really have no problem with the series. I'm very interested to see where the characters go from this. I'm waiting to see like how many more characters are brought into the show and try to explain the further different indigenous cultures we haven't touched on.
Mm.
Because one of the things they barely touched on was on indigenous hip hop, which if you go to any of these powwows or res festivals, that is a big fucking thing for a lot of these people is reservation hip hop and culture hip hop. So I'm trying. I want to see if they bring in Bear's father more to show that world and to bring in more, honestly, more hip hop artists from the reservation communities like the twins that you guys see, because there's a lot of people that I like to see get blown up properly that have good work and good music that just can't break into the mainstream because of the way culture and colorism is in this country.
Mm.
His daddy ain't definitely ain't coming. That fool ain't gonna be there. That fool's at the crib. Hey, can I get a plate? Like, come
Uh,
on, dude.
Which, by the way, that episode was such a great episode because it's something that I was lucky in that my father was around in my life, so I didn't have to deal with that. As much as like he did a lot of fucked up shit to my family and did some fucked up shit to himself and himself that I was in agreement with. Like my dad was still in my life and still try to be that father figure to a certain extent, even with all the baggage bullshit he had from his parents and his own mental disabilities and shit. But
mm.
you know that's really hits home what a lot of tribal kids deal with. They don't have their parents around, and sometimes either their guiding figure is their mom or their grandma, and that's a lot of these kids deal with.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. 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 I
Yeah,
thought.
nothing. Oh,
Oh.
I was gonna say nothing. I don't know. I guess the only thing, I guess, that really mm, I didn't really care for was that yeah they do give certain people shine, but then they kind of leave certain people off a little bit. And then they kind of make certain characters kind of a little one dimensional, like his mom. Like I think his mom they kind of make her one dimensional and be the regular, single, mom type character. And I think they could have built on her a little bit more. They could have, just like they built on the officer. I think they could have built on her a little bit more, and I think they could have built on the rival group too. Like, why the hell was there a mixed group? You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? So
Yeah. Because you see, there's like a white kid in the group. Yeah, a white kid in the group
yeah,
there with
I
the.
think yeah. So the big thing for me is just a few character developments, but besides that, cool with the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll echo a lot of that. I could see some more character development. Probably season two, we'll see a lot more of that. There's 10 episodes in season two, so probably get a little bit more of character stuff there. Yeah, the mom. There's it's tough dating for a single mom stuff going on with her, but I liked her. I liked the mom character. The dad stuff. I don't know. I felt the dad was too much of a cartoon. I felt like at times. I just felt like it just didn't really match with the show all that much, the tone and style of the show. But and yeah, you could have expanded more of the rival gang, a little bit more of them, showing a little bit more stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think this was a strong series. Glad I watched it. I think people should definitely check it out if given the chance. Um, Very funny, very heartfelt show. Great performances from the lead actors. Yeah, I'd give it a very strong tune in for me. What were you guys' ratings?
Honestly, I'll give it a strong tune in. If this is something that you want to check out what like modern indigenous culture is like, but still be done in like a funny and enjoyable way and not like a sad PBS documentary style kind of thing, this is definitely a show to go check out. You'll have a great time. And even if you're not there for like a lot of the like deep emotional stuff, there's enough like exaggerated and like weird storytelling elements that are put into it that will keep you going as much as you give the show a chance to keep on watching it.
Mm.
Yeah, I give it a moderate, regular tune in. Just because I feel like when they did try to hit with a few of the emotional things. It only worked in small pieces, um, and maybe that was because of the character development too. But other than that, yeah, I just give it regular tune in. But it is very good, and this shit might change when I get to season two. I didn't even know it was coming out that fast for me, so I'm happy that I missed that shit.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, very nice. Let me go look at the chat and let me move on to the next thing. Thank you, Ganja, for coming in, man.
Oh, no problem, man. Again, I apologize because I was supposed to be here way earlier, folks. But like I said, I decided to smother my alarm clock and thought I was gonna be able to still make it on time. And things did not go as planned, apparently.
Hey, it's cool. I'm happy to share this with you, Don.
I appreciate it. I'm glad you guys brought me on because one of the audience members made a joke earlier. Like, I'm glad that God is here and not talking like Carlos. One of the things that I hate is when people like talk about like indigenous culture stuff and they bring no animation and no love to it because there's like as much as there's sadness and sorrow in our history, there's just as much comedy and bullshit and fun exaggerated shit we deal with on a daily basis that you can easily make it into a comedy and make it fun for everyone to enjoy and not just for a specific cultural niche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me see here what the chat's got to say here. Javon Good said Atlanta or Dave, and Chill's reference to that Reservation Dog.
Oh, Atlanta, Dave, easy. Or shit, I knocked this one out, but it's just Atlanta. This, to be honest. So that's the real choose what I would choose between. But yeah, Dave, it's alright.
Let's see. Javon Good asks, is the woman who plays in the Echo series, the title character Echo, isn't she indigenous? Is she?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm sorry, I told you I was stalking around the Instagram. With- and one of them is an Echo. I forgot which one. I think it is the one that's the one that was with her father. Hunt. Damn it, her.
Oh,
She's gonna be an Echo.
she's gonna be an Echo. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the cop, he was in the Hawkeye series. He was the dad of Echo character. He was in that, so he was.
Mhm.
So he's been part of the
That's
MC.
one good thing I'm glad to see is a lot of these indigenous actors getting their come up from this, and hopefully, maybe even expand the media even more if this continues to be a trend in Hollywood and start seeing more indigenous people get accepted,
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
especially outside of the stereotypical stuff. Man, I'm tired of them putting us in headdresses and shit.
But I give it to him though. Echo did have some nice fight scenes, so I would, hey, to see something like that and to see them fight and everything like that. I think that's another avenue too. I mean, I'm all about action movies, so I be loving shit like that. I think she has some real good fight choreography in her shit too.
Tiger GD said Bill Burr in reference to he was great in The Mandalorian. Yes, he was. He was very good in The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that too. Tiger GD also said they got the Ocean Spray skateboard dude on this. I don't even know what the hell he's talking about. Did everybody know who the Ocean?
That was it was a meme that went around for a little bit where the guy was on a skateboard drinking
Oh,
ocean spray
that
to
guy.
Dreams by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, that. Oh, okay.
I remember
That
that.
oh, that meme. Yeah. Didn't they say that guy? There was something bad about that guy or something, or the guy was.
All I
No,
know is he made a shitload of money off an ocean spray deal off of like one TikTok video. So
he's still chilling. He's still out in L.A. chilling.
I just ride around now. He just changed the soundtrack to whoever's paying him now.
Yeah. Okay. I thought somebody said somebody dug up something about him or something that was bad. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Probably.
But hey, if he's a good guy, he got his money, and congrats on him. Tiger GD says also the homegirl in Prey. She was dope in Legion. She's also indigenous as well. I forgot the actress's name. Ganja, did
That was
you?
one thing that I'm glad that they touched on in the series, but they only did it very like lightly, and it was the fact that indigenous doesn't have a stereotypical look. As much as I have what you would consider stereotypical native features, there are a lot of people that are part of my tribe and part of my culture that don't share those phenotypes. And the one white boy that's part of the other rival Indian gang, who's also still Indian, I like that they called him out for that for like a second as a joke. And to like point out like, hey, he's a white dude. Nah, man, I'm a quarter. And that's shit you actually deal with trying to interact with different Native Americans and the blood quantum bullshit that we have to deal with.
Hey, I do say I know a Native American. He's albino. So
Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah. Interesting. Did you want to do come on for Prey Ganja? I know that's about indigenous people. I don't know if you want to come on to I don't know, talk about the
Yeah,
accuracy
I
of
can
it.
easily do that. That would be something I would have fun reviewing, mostly because I want to see how they do the different hunters competing against each other. The what you consider, and I know this term could sometimes be used as a negative thing, but in terms of technologies, how primitive hunting styles can be more superior to the pretty much the big game hunter that buys the elephant gun, five
mhm.
cameras and a tracker sensor, and see how they compete against each other. And I want to see the clash of those two different, honestly, technology and tactics way of hunting between the predator and the Native Americans they encounter.
Yeah.
Ooh, I said the same shit, and I don't even know anything about that, but I understood like the way of the woods. I understand you got to work around the way of the woods. So that's the same shit I said when I seen that trailer. I'm like, I don't give a damn about that trailer. I need to see some shit going on. And the first thing I said was, I need to see them fucking up the damn predator, where it gets so tough for the predator that he learns this shit over the years, and that's how you get into like the predator with fucking what's his name and how he's able to take out a group of soldiers. So I want to see something like that. Flip that shit on his ear. Make it hard for the fucking predator because these motherfuckers can hunt so damn good. He just takes a lot of that shit with him.
And essentially, if you're like a big, and this is a little sci-fi knowledge that I have to know of the Predator because I was a big fan of the series growing up. The Predator himself, as a culture, they're big into hunting things that they see as equal to them or on terms with them. They
Mm-hmm.
don't hunt things that they could easily kill or could be considered lesser than. So the fact that they even consider this as a worthy hunt, it shows that there is going to be a good enough clash that I'm hoping it's exciting and I'm hoping that there's plenty in action and I want to see some cool use of tools that we probably couldn't like think of unless you come to these different cultures that have these different ways of hunting that can be used to throw off a predator that's more used to leaning into their technology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, I'd like for you to come on if you can next week. Friday, we'll probably do it. Javon Good also said he'd like to come on for Prey as well. Yeah, I'd like to have you on, Javon Good. If you can do Saturday or Friday, let me know. Message me, hit me up in a DM. But the early
Please are doing.
reactions.
I will be on time this time.
Oh yeah. But early reactions to Prey have been very good. I heard very very good things about it. Yeah. How you doing there, Shiloh Alligator? Good for you to be stopping by. All right. Ganja, did you want to dip out? Oh,
I have no problem. You guys continue your show. Thank you
uh,
for having me on. It's been a great time.
all right,
Thank you,
Ganja.
guys.
Pimp your stuff. Let everybody know who you know
Well,
where they
last
can find you.
moment of Pippin. Y'all go check out the Chat Attack. It's on Twitch. We almost do it every other day of the week. It is the pre-show for the Double Toaster Show, so go check that out. Give it a follow. We do it from 40 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how long Corey's running late from his next movie theater run. But other than that, go check it out. Give it a follow. I also do the Lonnie podcast. That is more of a political podcast and about current events. So if you want to get my ideas on politics and more of a breakdown of how I feel about things, from all the way from the social debt to the GDP to the prime minister getting murked by a fallout gun. We talk about it all. So go check out the Mario podcast. And, of course, my Twitter, Red Ganja Guru.
Awesome, awesome. I'll put your links and stuff in the description below.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much, my brother.
Ganja. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, Johnson.
Appreciate you guys just having me. You guys have a great night.
Oh, you too, Gun.
Hey, man,
Take care.
you too.